My name is Marcin and I'm with Intuit's At Your Table, and today I'm going to be discussing how to make grilled cheese sandwiches. And if you know how to make grilled cheese sandwiches, I'm going to be showing you a variety of grilled cheese sandwiches and maybe a few different methods to enhance your grilled cheese sandwiches. So let's get right into it.
I'm just going to run over the ingredients real quick. You're going to need some bread. Whatever bread you prefer. I just happen to like rye. You can use white bread, brown bread, multigrain, whole wheat, gluten-free, whatever your preference. You're going to need some cheese. Here I have some mozzarella. Again, you can use whatever variety you like. Your favorite deli slices. Here I have sliced turkey. Again, whatever deli slices works for you. And then tomato, basil, bacon, and apple. Before we get started, we're just gonna wash our hands real quick. And then be sure to wash your produce as well. We're just gonna wash our apple, our tomato, and our basil. Next, we're gonna prepare our bacon. I like to put it on the pan cold and turn it on to 5 or 6 out of 10, so medium or medium high. This will let the fat render out and it'll get it nice and crispy and golden brown. Here I'm just tilting the pan, crisping up the fattier bits on the bacon, cooking it in the rendered fat. Just flipping it over and making sure both sides are equally crispy. Now you want to drain off all the excess fat and set it aside on a lined plate with a paper towel and just allow the fat to drain off the bacon. Here I put an additional paper towel on top just to dab all the fat off and set it aside till we need it. For the kids watching, on the next step, be sure to get the supervision of an adult. We're going to be cutting up our tomato and our apple. I decided to peel my apple as I didn't want the skin inside of my sandwich. Next up is preparing the cheese. You can use cheese slices, or you can grate the cheese, whatever your preference. I personally like the sliced cheese. It makes for less of a mess, and it doesn't fall out of the sandwich. I also forgot to mention one thing. You're going to need some butter to butter your bread as well. But let's get right into the assembly. I'm just making half sandwiches because I'm going to eat all of these, so I'd rather eat 2 than 4. So butter both sides of the outside of your sandwich. First one's just going to be classic, so just simple cheese. I like to do 2 layers so it's nice and cheesy on both sides of the bread. There you go. First, classic, just cheese. Next up, we're going to make the one with the deli slices. So again, same as the first one. The first one's a good base to understand the process. Just butter both sides. And then cheese on both sides. And this is where I would say cheese on both sides is a little more important. If you only put cheese on one side, then the meat will be on one side of the bread and the cheese will be on the other side. So the cheese is what's binding the pieces of bread together. Once it's nice and melted, it's acting like the glue. And then
favorite deli slice. I have turkey. Again, it could be whatever deli slice you prefer, whatever your favorite, roast beef, corned beef, salami, and there you go, grilled cheese with deli slice. Next up, again, same process. Third sandwich we're gonna make is tomato and basil. Butter both sides, cheese on both sides, and the inside here is gonna be basil and tomato. And I would recommend seasoning your tomato with a little bit of salt and pepper. It'll give it just a little more flavor. You want to know what the shredded here? It doesn't really matter if you prefer shredded or sliced. Both work equally fine. Have it, your third sandwich. And then the last one is going to be with bacon and apple. These last two combinations are more for the adventurous type, I would say. Maybe it might not be for everybody, but you can't knock it till you try it. I always say that. So if you want to go ahead and try it, be my guest. If not, I won't knock you for it, but you're missing out. Now that your sandwich assembly is complete, you can preheat your pan. I have mine 6 out of 10, so medium, high, medium. And when you put the sandwiches down, you want to hear that little sizzle. But make sure it's not too hot, or else you're going to burn your sandwiches. The outside will be burnt by the time the cheese is melted. So we're just going to go in with all of our sandwiches here. And it doesn't matter if the cheese gets on the pan, it will just get crispy. We're actually going to do a little trick on 2 of them, and you'll see if we flip it over. Another little tip I can offer here is press down your sandwich. Make sure just all the edges and all the surface of the bottom of the sandwich are touching the pan. That way you'll get even browning. And you'll know when it's ready to flip. You'll see maybe the cheese is starting to melt. I don't know if you guys can see that. The cheese is starting to melt. Also, another way you can check is just getting underneath your sandwich. Just checking visually if it's toasty. There we go. That's what we're looking for, golden brown. So we're just going to have to flip all these sandwiches. And at this point, what you can do to enhance, so we're just going to do it on the original and on the deli slices. You could put some mozzarella on the outside of the sandwich, and it will get nice and melty. And then what you want to do, we're just going to remove these 2 sandwiches because they won't have extra mozzarella on it. But what you want to do is crank the heat on high, so then your mozzarella gets nice and crispy. And we'll compare the crispiness of the 2 after we remove both of them. Also, pressing this cheese down and making it adhere to the bread will get melty faster. So now that these two sandwiches are complete, I'll just set them aside. like I said, turn up the heat. Then we're gonna toast up this mozzarella on the other side. And for this one, you don't want to move the sandwich, you just want to let the mozzarella melt, and then it'll get nice and crispy. You'll probably need like 30 seconds to a minute. And for the sandwiches, I'd say you probably only need a few minutes on both sides. Again, if you don't feel comfortable, you can always check. There we go, that's what we're looking for, that crispy mozzarella. So now that all of them are ready, we have here 2 sandwiches, apple bacon, tomato basil, and these are without mozzarella on the outside. And then these 2 have mozzarella on the outside. You have the one with deli slices, and then you have the classic. And just so you can get a sense of how crispy that cheese can get. And I'll just cut these in half for you guys so you can see what they look like. You have the classic. You have your apple and bacon. This one's turkey, but your favorite deli slices. And then last but not least, tomato and basil. Hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you guys can try all of these sandwiches. Pretty much.
So I'm adding some 80-degree water.
Sorry. That wraps up my video there. Let's see if we have any questions. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and type them in the chat. We have a comment here. The salad I had for lunch does not compare to this. Yum. Yeah, I wish I can have this all the time. Definitely a guilty pleasure. Something I grew up making, and even till this day, I eat it when I can, I guess, because you shouldn't always eat it. Then we have another comment here. I never had anything like this until you, Marcin. Where do you learn to toast the cheese on the outside of the sandwich trick? So I saw that on YouTube. I don't know how long ago, but there's a YouTube channel called foodwishes.com, and it's a guy called Chef John, and he made a video a long time ago about it. And I tried it out and it worked really well. So I don't know, just sometimes I do it. It just depends if it's really plain. Maybe if it's a little more eccentric sandwich, I probably won't put the cheese on the outside, but I don't know, it's nice to change it up. We have a comment here, that looks so delicious. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And they were very delicious. I enjoyed eating them afterwards. And also I made a comment in the video that I would eat them all by myself, but I actually did share with my family because they saw what I was up to. So they came around and snacked with me. I came on late, but do you use butter or mayo on the bread? You can actually use both. In the video, I use butter, but some people like to use mayos, and that's completely fine as well. Like any kind of fat will work, but as long as you're not using too much fat, I guess, and so it doesn't absorb into the bread. But I have also used mayo, and it just gives a little bit of a different flavor. So you can definitely use both butter and mayo. And also, if you want to watch a re-recording of this, we're going to be posting it on the Slack channel. So if you want to see it, the video in its entirety, you can go back and watch it on Slack. If you came and joined a little bit late. Is there any more questions here? Oh, there we go. Bridget put that at your table, food. So it's going to be posted on that Slack channel for you guys. But if there's no more questions, I think that wraps it up for me for today. I appreciate you guys joining me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. And hopefully you guys can eat some of these sandwiches. And also it's not limited to just these options. You can definitely push the boundaries, do whatever you like. I heard sometimes people like to put peanut butter, other people put banana. For me, personally, I never tried it, but I could see it being okay with the sweet and salty contrast. So again, the options aren't limited to just that. But besides that, thank you guys and have a great day.
Thank you.
No problem.